The news of MultiVersus shutting down felt like it was inevitable, but still felt too soon for a game that didn't really find its place in the world yet. It is another victim of a trend of platform fighters having an overwhelming wave of support that fizzles out when enough content isn't in the game to sustain itself or player feedback just isn't properly addressed. I want to look at MultiVersus and Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2, as I actually think that these games have a similar life and death that could have been avoided. MultiVersus launched in beta in July of 2022 and shut down its beta in June of 2023 after running out of content to release. The amount of players and enthusiasm for the game was overwhelming in the beginning, reaching super high peaks on every system it was available on. This really showed how much people wanted a competitor to Super Smash Bros. A whole list of different intellectual properties that people loved fighting in a game that was simple to understand and easy to control. The initial beta roster was also very good in my opinion. Of course I'd make some changes, but for an initial roster and ever-expanding game, it felt like a good start. In the beta, they sold us on the premise of a Warner Bros. Crossover platform fighter, but failed to have enough beloved characters being added to hold them or to get new people to try the game. This game needed a fan-favorite character every season, not just to keep its existing fan base, but for getting new people into the game as well. This was better addressed in later seasons. Raven and Marceline were both popular fan-requested characters, but unfortunately, this was too little too late. With so many live service games pining for our attention, you need heavy-hitter characters with every season. People who have no interest in Fortnite will download and try the game if one of their favorite characters gets added to it. It's free after all. The barrier to entry is nothing, and it's available on every modern gaming platform. A game like this needs to be on as many systems as possible and is easy to jump into as possible. All the characters need to be free, or there need to be a certain amount of time for people to access the characters. Most people who you convince to download the game will play a match, realize they only have Shaggy, and have to do a whole story mode or something to unlock more, or fork over an unreasonable amount of cash to play as the one character they wanted. Rather than do any of that, they're just going to turn the game off. In games like this, the characters need to be free. Just look at the success of Marvel Rivals if you need evidence. You want a person to be enticed by a character they like, gameplay that's fun, that makes them want to stick around, and then maybe they'll throw some money your way for a skin or something to make their character unique. The overwhelming amount of greed in Warner Bros. New games is just flat out killing them. Look at Mortal Kombat and Suicide Squad if you need more evidence as to why this business model does not work. Rather than looking at players as just walking wallets, look at what the actual successful live service games do to make truckloads of money. Fortnite and Genshin Impact regularly give away skins and characters, and the main games are entirely free. This is to keep people playing the game and get them hooked on the gameplay. Eventually they'll decide if they want to continue playing, and if you made a good enough game, they'll stick around, and figure they might as well spend some money on it since they play it so much. Okay, this isn't really meant to be a live service rant. This is mainly about platform fighters and the genre at large. In an opposite business model, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl released to a lot more attention than I think the developers or Nickelodeon themselves expected. Just like MultiVersus, fans of Smash Bros. Wanted a competitor. And although Nick doesn't have as wide of a range of properties to choose from as Warner Bros., it does have a ton of recognizability and generations of cartoons to choose from. You can appeal to fans of current-day Nicktoons and pull from a wide catalog of characters from the past. The game was so successful, they even did some DLC with some highly requested characters, with Jenny, Rocco, and Hugh Neutron. Hugh was the most fan-requested character, and it was awesome to see the devs find a moveset that worked for him and get him into the game. This is where things start to get dicey though. Just a year after Hugh came out, the sequel was already released. For fans of the first game, this felt too soon. Nick All-Stars didn't give us time to miss it. With the first game releasing so recently, I don't think anyone felt the need to run up and grab the new one right away. This is why Smash's one title a generation model makes sense. By the time we get a new system, we all want a new Smash on it. In my opinion though, this isn't even where the game went entirely wrong. The second game cut characters from the first, including Hugh. You know, the character who the whole community banded together in support of to get into the game. If there's going to be a sequel so soon from the first game, there can't be any cuts to the roster. It's one thing if your character gets cut from a series that only gets an entry around every 8 years, like Street Fighter. At least in that case, there's a huge leap in changes in the gameplay and the presentation that makes it evident that this is an entirely new game and characters can't one-to-one be brought over. To those who didn't play a ton of Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, the sequel looks just like the same game. And worse, it looks like the same game that decided to take out their character. I think mechanically NASB 2 is a more polished game, but the people you need to convince of that is all the casuals who bought the first game. You need to sell them on the idea that the game they bought, perhaps even within the last year, should be replaced with this new game. And if it isn't better in every aspect, they will not give it a second look. And the main driving force of these games are the characters, so if the sequel can be seen as a downgrade, then you tied your laces together before the race even started. In a way, these games had a similar life and death. For MultiVersus, the game had an extremely popular beta, but as the game continued to underdeliver until it had to go away, public interest dwindled. Nickelodeon All Star Brawl had a much bigger launch than anyone expected. Online tournaments saw big turnouts, and generally for both, the online modes were well populated. But only a year after the DLC came out, it was replaced with a new game. Interest dwindled because of how quickly the fans were expected to pay full price for a new game again. Rivals of Aether 2 is the king currently of non-Smash platform fighters. You pay one price and get access to every current and new character that will ever be added. There's a clear visual difference between the first game, and mechanically it is a great, smooth, and fun experience. I honestly don't know what will come in the future for the genre as a whole. Many developers and publishers are probably put off by the idea of making a game in the genre now, with most attempts failing to grab an audience. The initial excitement around MultiVersus and NASB 1 should be a testament that there is an audience for these games, but that audience also doesn't want to be ignored or cheated. I hope these will serve as a good example for those looking to get a game in this space. Check out another video if you like this one. Thanks for watching.